Today we're talking about this mount here, the ZWO AM3N. And we want to know what's new, for whom is this mount anyway, and what can it do? And I also want to show you all the configuration options that you have with it. So there's a lot to cover, so let's start it right after the trailer. Hey, this is View into Space. I'm Sascha from Switzerland, so grüezi miteinander, and thanks for watching my channel. So this mount here, let's just take it out, was just released today, or it might be a few days ago, depending on when you watch it. So the first question everybody has when an N-class mount comes out, what's new? That's what the N stands for, right? New. So what's new on this mount? And as always in this channel, I don't want to feed you any marketing BS, but I want to stay right factual, right at the truth. And the truth is, there is in principle only one thing new, and that's not new. It's simply taken over from the AM5N. And that's here, these ports at the saddle. And the rest that's new is simply that you can use it by 5 degrees Celsius, deeper temperature in winter, shocking. And the absolute spectacular news is that you now have an Allen key in here, like also with the 5N. And if you're lucky, you can get it out. And now you can actually use it for some Allen key stuff, or they have now some holes in there if, I don't know, quite honestly. But anyway, you're never without an Allen key. Really great. So there is no more weight capacity, there is no higher accuracy. It's all the same as with the AM3. So bottom line, innovation value of this mount, 0. Absolutely 0. So the next question is that bad? And that's really something I seriously thought about it for some time, because at the beginning when I first got the mount for testing and I realized that this is the only real news, I was a little bit disappointed. I expected more, and probably so did you. But the first thing is, this is really important. And me, who uses now an AM5 for quite some time, having these ports here in the saddle makes really a difference from that risk of having an issue with your cables. So it's just great that you have no cables at all, which actually goes down. Everything spins within this axis, and so the chance of an entanglement is almost 0, which also means that you don't have to be scared letting the mount doing a meridian flip on its own. So from that point of view, thanks a lot ZWO for including that, for releasing the AM3N. But still you can say, okay, that's good, but I mean, they could have done something innovative, something new, something better. And I would like you now to pause this video for a second and to think about what you would want improved from this AM3, because that's what I did. And quite honestly, I don't know, because the AM3 as it was before was guiding good enough. You probably can't make it any lighter, or if you do it any lighter, it's not stable anymore. The weight capacity, I mean, if you need more weight capacity, you can really go to the AM5. And we will come to that. 13 kilograms is a huge amount. And even 8 kilograms without a counterweight is much. And just to cover this topic right now, this is a 103 APO with an EAF on it, with a cooled camera on it, with a filter drawer on it. So it has everything that you need. And you know how much it weighs? 7.2 kilograms. So in theory, you can actually use this scope on the AM3 without a counterweight. Now, what else you want, you know? Because if you use normally larger refractors than this one, probably the AM5 is really the mount for you to go, because then also travel lightness is not really a consideration, right? So from that point of view, this mount was already almost perfect. And that's the only thing that was really missing. So blame it on ZWO to already did it so good in the first place that there was almost nothing to improve. That's quite honestly my rationale. And also quite honestly, I rather have them pick their brains on how to do a AM7, which we hope will come sometime in the future, than spending time here on some unnecessary features we don't really need. And with that, actually, I already covered the new part. So with that, let's have now a look at the mount and what comes with it. And that's exactly the same as with the AM3 and also in principle with the AM5. We have here the mount. It's still quite heavy. By the way, fun fact, it's only 1.5 kilogram less than the AM5. So in general, we have here the ports. That's the power port, hand controller, the auto guide port, which nobody uses today anymore. They could stop including that. Then comes the USB port. And you can, by the way, use this also with Wi-Fi and with Bluetooth, which I would not do for astrophotography from a stability point of view. But if you use it with a cell phone, simply for visual astronomy, that's definitely a really good option. But a good part is now with the ports in the saddle, which is a USB-C and also a throughput power port, you can actually feed the mount energy-wise and information-wise simply over the saddle, and you actually do not even need these ports in front. We have here, as with the AM5, the means to polar align it. That works really, really well with this mount. I never have any issues to get it perfectly polar aligned. It stays stable afterwards. And what I also really like, that up here we have already the clamps for Vixen style and Losmandy style. So whatever you want to put on here, it works without any configuration needs. So you can easily switch if you have to. What also comes with it are obviously some cables and a hand controller, which, depending on what you're doing, you use or you don't use. I actually use it never. So afterwards, we will actually build it together on the tripod and a lot of other stuff. But before that, for who is this mount now? Especially compared to its bigger brother, the AM5. So I will not be able to stand like that very long because it's heavy. So I put the AM5 back, but you see here the difference. There definitely is a difference in size and in weight and in price. But beside what I just mentioned, price, size, weight, and the capacity, everything else is now in the N class the same. So what does that mean? This one here is, at least globally, in the US it will be more expensive, $1,500 for the AM3 and $2,000 for the AM5. So $500 is still money. And so the question I would ask myself is, do I need more capacity? That's the only question which you have to ask yourself. And again, 13 kilograms, as I just illustrated with the 103 APO, is a lot of weight. So to put this into perspective, the only setup which is too heavy to go on that which I own is the SQA 106, together with an Eagle, together with a heavy Moravian camera, a heavy filter wheel, and all of that stuff together, and it's almost as heavy that I have issues carrying it, is 15 kilograms. 2 kilograms above the range of that. And everything else would work on that. I think even my 925 Edge HD is less than the 13 kilograms. And so if you only want to go in a mid-range of refractors or a small SET, this might be good enough and it saves you $500, which you can use better for something else. And the other thing is definitely if you travel a lot, then every kilogram counts. So having 1.5 kilograms less in your hand luggage might make a difference. And so then that's definitely the right choice. If you plan to go with larger refractors, if you're not considering traveling a lot, if you're not on a tight budget, probably the AM5 is just the safer choice. But let's put it like this, the jump now to the N class definitely leveled the ground from a feature point of view. And with that, let's talk about everything else that comes into consideration when you buy such a mount, be it an AM3 or be it an AM5. Because the first thing that you need is a tripod. And when it comes to the AM3, to weights up to 13 kilograms, then the logical choice and probably the best choice is the TC40 from ZWO, which is really made for these mounts. And when you heard me now saying for the AM3 up to 13 kilograms, then in one of my next videos you will see another option when you go with higher weights. Because while this tripod is amazing for traveling, amazing for carrying around as it's so lightweight, with heavier loads, it has some flexure which might create issues. So I will show you a better option. But for the AM3, where you anyway cannot go above 13 kilograms, where you anyway want something lightweight because you want to be able to travel, the TC40 is perfect. So there's one odd thing with that, because with the TC40, like I just showed you, and this mount, you cannot put these two things together. So when you buy the TC40, included is this silver plate here. And the first step you have to do is you have to screw it onto these 3 screws. And I do that now, takes a few minutes. So you've seen I've already started now to screw this on. And by the way, if you wondered, for what is this Allen key that is included now? It's exactly for that. It fits here in these screws and you can screw it on with it. Which is obviously, just for that purpose, nonsensical, have it in here because it adds weight, and you do this once and then it's screwed on. So if, quite honestly, if I would use it as a travel mount, then I will take this Allen key out, because also this Allen key has a little bit of weight, and if you don't need it, why keep it in there? And that's how it looks when it's installed. That's how you will keep it. And the good part is now that it's so easy to install it on the tripod and to take it off again. All you have to do, you put it on here, and this one screw, you turn it round and it's locked. That's all. So I have to keep it a little bit up because it's rather small, but that's how it looks now on the mount. And if you have a small refractor, that is all you have to do. It took about 5 minutes and you have your mount installed and you can start shooting with it. And that's what I love so much about the ZWO mounts. This whole system, it's so easy. There's nothing else to put together. These 3 screws, this silver disc on, you put it on here, let's go and shoot. So that's also why about a year ago or so I created this video where I said this is the perfect smart scope, because it's almost as easy as a C-Star. I think that's cool. So, but let's assume you don't want to put a small refractor on there, but for example, the 103 put that I just showed you, that's pretty long. Then you need some additional stuff. And the first thing that you need is this here. This is a pier extension, which ensures that the scope, the back end of the scope, does not collide with the legs of your mount. But the cool part that ZWO actually has done, and they put a lot of innovation in here, is that you can not only use this with the TC40, but you can simply disinstall here the disc, which is here already pre-installed, and then you can put the legs of other tripods, of I think Ioptron and so on on there. So you can actually use it as a unit with another tripod, and on top you still have the compatible part for the AM mounts. And also here it's that easy. This comes like that packaged. There's nothing to do for you, nothing to install, nothing to screw. And now you have a look how easy it is to actually install this. So all we do is we take the mount off again the same way we put it on before. We put the P200 at the place where before the mount was, turn this one screw on. We put this on top here. We tighten the screws here, these three. And ladies and gentlemen, your pier extension is on. Nothing else to do. Again, this was real time. This is 2 minutes work. Taking it out of the box, screwing it on with these 4 screws, done. The same way to disassemble. So if you want to take this stuff with on your plane, if you want to reconfigure it, if you only want to have the pier extension on with your large refractors and take it off with the small ones, it's a 2-minute work and you completely have it reconfigured. So if we have a heavy refractor, more than 8 kilograms, what we also need is a counterweight. And so the first thing that you have to buy is, that's from ZWO, the counterweight bar. And again, there's nothing easier than that. Under here, you have a screw. You screw this out, looks like this. You screw this on down here. And you screw this here where the screw was under the mount. And it's on. It's done. Another 2 minutes. The bar is on. So the last thing that you need is the counterweight. The counterweights, I haven't found any from ZWO. There might be some, but at least here in Switzerland or Germany, I could not find anybody who has them, but that's also not needed and they might also be overpriced. These ones here, they're 5 kilograms. That's the maximum that you can put on such a mount. Otherwise you damage it. And they're about 50 bucks. That's as cheap as it gets. And there is no better with counterweights. It's just weight. So it's just important here that's a 2 centimeter opening. Then you screw away again the screw, which is actually the security, that they cannot simply fall off out of whatever reason. Then you can thread it in. And here we go. And the counterweight is on. So now just for illustration, let's put the scope on top. And just that you have an idea from a proportion point of view, that's now a huge scope on an AM3. That's even overkill having a counterweight on here. I would still recommend to do it also from a safety point of view. I would also recommend that in the pocket below on the TC40 that you put some weight in there. I have a weight belt from scuba diving, which I usually put in there, but it just, stability helps. Why it's great that this stuff is so lightweight when you travel. If you're doing it stationary, as much weight as you can add really helps from a stability point of view, that this thing does not vibrate, not wiggle, not anything while you're actually shooting. And I think my last point is that really here the ZWO ecosystem kicks in from a benefit point of view. And I simply mean here the air cameras, be it the 2600 MC Air or like here the 555 MC Air. But from a cable point of view, all I would have to do now is 2 cables from the camera to the mount, to the saddle. There is no danger at all that it could entangle in any way. And then I put 1 cable from the camera to the energy outlet, and that's it. No fear, everything fine, almost no cables. And also just the ease of use. Because as I've mentioned many times before, I believe that this setup is like here with the air camera, with such a mount, almost every beginner can build that and will be successful. And I think that is really, and that really puts the bar down for everybody who wants to do serious astrophotography and who wants to step up from a smart scope to a real rig. So just as a summary, while initially, yes, It's not an amazing change. It's probably the only necessary change that was made here. I'm forgetting about this comparison, but simply looking at the AM3N like it is right now, it's an amazing mount. I can absolutely recommend it. And for me, it's also now part of my regular setup. And if you're curious right now what tripod I would recommend if you're going for heavier loads, or if you want to see my first PixInsight script which I'm building and which is something that was never been done before, then please consider this.
Love space, love this channel? Then you'll love what's going on over on my Patreon. Behind the scenes content, early access, breaking news, exclusive tutorials, tips and tricks just for you, all for the price of a coffee. Go deeper, follow stories as they unfold, get personal support, and download all the supporting docs and data. Join our crew of space enthusiasts, support the channel, fuel the mission, and unlock a universe of extras. Links below. See you there.
I hope that was helpful. Please leave your comments about the AM3N below. Will you buy it? Do you think it's attractive? You will rather go with the AM5? Interested to hear from you. See you next time, and clear skies.